The province of Alberta elected a new government. And it was really interesting to follow the media coverage. It was really interesting to follow the social media coverage, which is sort of Wild West at points, about what was happening in this province. Well, you know what? The same thing that will happen, it has happened in every other province, normally every 12 to 15 years. Governments change, and governments change again, and governments change again. And every time there's a new government that's elected, there is a learning curve. And we see this as a tremendous opportunity for not only the Alberta Chambers of Commerce, but also the community chambers. The first 90 days of this government has set a very ambitious track record of things that they've been willing to tackle. You may disagree with the things that they've tackled. However, they have certainly not shied away from contentious issues. And to be honest, to anybody who's commenting on social media, it should be no surprise the issues that are being tackled. Simply because those were issues that were highlighted during the last election campaign. So we've got the corporate tax. We're going through currently a royalty review that was announced. I am very positive on the royalty review from the point of view of the person that was appointed as chair of the royalty review. Dave Mowat, who's the president and CEO of ATB Financial. And I often slip and say Alberta Treasurer branches, and boy, that really dates me. ATB Financial, and certainly I would expect that Dave will do his usual bang-up job. So it's not just about corporate tax increase. It's not just about the royalty review. It's not just about the climate carbon cost. And it's not just about the corporate tax increase, but it's a layering of those effects. And certainly at this point in time, with the layering of those effects, with that layering effect being felt by small business, I would suggest to you that the confidence of small business is somewhat very anxious at this point in time. On minimum wage, just to give an example, we did a survey on minimum wage, and when we do a survey, we have to send it out to the community chambers, and then the community chambers send it out to their individual members. When we sent this survey out to the community chambers, within 4 hours we had 350 responses. The next morning we were up over 700. By the time we hit the end of the week, we were sitting at 1,600 responses. So it does let you know that this is an important issue for small businesses. Out of the 1,600 businesses that took the time to respond, 1,100 of them stuck around and left long-form comments as to the effect on what they perceive the effect on their businesses. Okay? So that was probably the most interesting part of that survey, which we did forward over to Minister Sigurdsson along with our submission on minimum wage, which, true to form, does suggest a potential solution to get there that may have not the unintended consequences of going to $50 by 2018. I guess what we would point out to our membership, as well as point out to the province, is that probably the feedback that is coming from small business on that survey and their comments and what they plan to do is probably a more dependable gauge of what's going to happen, because small business is telling you that's what they're planning on doing. We were very pleased to see that Minister Sigurdsson increased the minimum wage only by $1 this time around for the 1st of October, because we had heard that it was going to increase by $2. And that's what we recommended to the minister. We'll slow the process down. Let's do a little bit of investigation. Let's do some consultation. And maybe it's not the solution that the Alberta Chambers has brought forward, but what our intention was to create that discussion, to create that debate, and to create that conversation. I've been somewhat underwhelmed by the amount of consultation that went on before the introduction of minimum wage. The consultation with business consisted of a meeting with the minister and the premier, but that was for 2.5 hours as employer groups. There was a consultation with pro minimum wage increase folks, That too was only 2.5 hours. And what I asked at our consultation, I said, so is there a potential to bring employer groups and pro minimum wage increase advocates together? Let's hear each other's side's of the story, and maybe we can understand where they're coming from and where we're coming from. See, I haven't even fallen into that trap. We and they. Let's get those groups together and let's get them to discuss it, and maybe we can come up with a solution that actually accomplishes what we want to and need to do. We have a tremendous opportunity with this new government to perhaps influence them, but more so to provide them with information that they then can take and make their own decisions on. That's the best that any organization can hope, is that you in fact have an opportunity to communicate your reasons and the information that you hold, and trust that your elected officials will make the right decision. We would and have suggested in the past that community chambers become very involved and get to know and build a relationship with their MLA and MP, regardless of what political stripe they are, because they need to know from the folks that are in their communities what the business community is all about and what their community chamber is all about. And we would, again, encourage the community chambers. And again, Linda, I'm glad to see that you obviously, this is something that is ingrained to this chamber, is involvement of your local MLA, MP, and I know in the past, your mayor and council as well. So thank you very much for this opportunity to speak to you.